Well, my name is Dennis Hunt. I'm the morning show host on K100, and I'm also a board member here for the Compassionate Grief Center. We're located out on Drury Cove Road, East St. John, and this is a center in the city that is all about making sure that you have someone to talk to. We've all gone through difficult times, and the Compassionate Grief Center is here to help you through those times. Today I'm talking with Julie and Tim Holmes. They're going to be talking with us about some of the loss that they've experienced over the years. Let's meet them right now. Tim and Julie Holmes, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. First of all, thanks for agreeing to come here today to the Compassionate Grief Center and to share your story. So before we go any further, could you tell us about yourselves, and then we'll get into the loss that you've experienced.
I'm Julie, and mother of 4, grandmother of 9.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a busy household. We actually own Furever Pet Needs and Resort. We started that back in 2022, coming up on a year, or 2 years in February, once we moved back from out west. So we lived in Edmonton, Alberta for 11 or so years, and then we fell upon the hard times with the tragic losses. So we moved back and we thought we'd open and start our own business. So
Nice.
That's a little bit about me.
Well, welcome back home.
Oh,
Tim,
thank you.
how about yourself?
Yeah, Tim Holmes, born and raised here in St. John, New Brunswick, the Script on the east side, not far from here.
Turns out we graduated high school
Yeah,
together.
graduated high school, St. John High, good old Mr. Nib days.
Yes, sir.
Rest his soul. We lived in a lot of different spots throughout our adult lives here in St. John. We also lived down in the States in Denver, Colorado. Did a stint even in New Hampshire. So pretty well traveled. And there was a 11-year stint in Alberta prior to coming home. My parents are from here, my grandparents or great-grandparents, so there's a long generation of homes here, of history, if you will. So actually glad to be back, but the most important thing is to help others that helped us through the tragedies that we're going to talk about, and really to inspire people to give back and spread love. So we'll hear that quite a bit, but that's our purpose and the mission that we're on.
Since you brought it up, let's talk about the loss that you and your family had experienced. The floor is yours.
So our oldest daughter, Keisha, she was 32, and she lives in Moncton, New Brunswick, so we were living out west obviously at that time. I was working, we were all working from home because of course it's COVID, so 2021, it was May 26th, and I got a call. I was in a meeting, and you need to answer your phone, please, hurry. So I answered it. Come to find out, Keisha had been in a severe car accident on the highway, and she was not coherent at all. She was moving, like she could move, but she couldn't talk. She didn't wake up. Her every bone in her body pretty much was broke because she was flung out of the car. But so I called Tim. I just remember screaming and dropping to the floor, and my daughter-in-law Shelby came up and to find out what was going on. And I don't even know if I called you or if Shelby called you.
You called me. I was actually at work. I get the phone call from you.
Yeah. So I called Tim to ask him to come home, and so he came home, and he called our oldest son Andrew at the time just to let him know that something had happened to his sister. We're not sure what's going on yet, but we'll let you know. He came home, we were on the phone with the doctors, and they had said that she's not going to make it. So we had to make a decision on what we were going to do. So we took our youngest son TJ with us back home. They gave us the news that her body's going to shut down if they take the medication off, or she can stay this way and live as pretty much a vegetable the rest of her life, but she would never be able to hold her babies. She would never be able to respond to us. It's a lot of work. She would just never wake up again. So we spent, 4 days, 2 days in the hospital with her. At the time, because it was COVID, we landed in New Brunswick. We're coming from a province that is infested with COVID.
Yeah.
We weren't even allowed to leave the airport until the military
Gave you clearance.
they had to give us clearance, and we hadn't had that letter from the doctor yet. So really nothing has really settled in for Tim or I or TJ at that point. So we got the letter, we rushed to the hospital, nobody was allowed to be in the room with us. We had to do COVID screening before we went in, wait to show that it was clear, and then We'd go up in the room with her, and we were the only 3 that were allowed in the room at the time. Now, if they were from New Brunswick, a couple people could go in, but while we were in there, nobody could go in. So we spent as much time in the room with her each and every day, and then on the 28th, we decided it's time to let her go so that her organs could be donated before they completely shut down on that. So we decided that she should go home on May 29th, which is actually Tim's birthday too. And we let her go then.
What a hard decision. But at the same time, can I say good on you for choosing to donate her organs? I mean, especially during that difficult time that you're going through, you made that decision. Even then, that was so brave.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. And on that, I just want to add on that is when I arrived home from work after the phone call, so the paint the picture is basically the phone was on our deck and Julie was laying on the ground crying. And I pick up the phone and I'm like, hello, and it's Doc on it, right? And Julie's, she's frantic at the time and I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, all I'm hearing is, are you there? I'm like, yeah, I'm here. Who am I speaking with? The doctor asked. So I tell him who he's speaking with. And he said, okay, I need an answer to the question. I said, well, what's the question? I'm sorry, I just got home. I'm not totally sure what's going on. He said, do you want to donate your daughter's organs or not? So before I even had an idea what was going on other than my daughter was in a tragic accident, but when you hear the first question from the doctors, do you want to donate your daughter's organs or not? And the answer right now is crucial. That's when I hit home. Wow. That we had to act fast. So I answered the question. She would want her organs donated. And he said, okay, time is of the essence. That's what we needed to get that out of the way, and then we went from there. So I just wanted to tie that together because you brought up, right? That's how important that was at that moment.
Especially having to act so quickly.
Right.
Oh. The answer to this is really obvious, but if you wouldn't mind spelling it out, how did this impact your life?
Oh, for me as a mom, now you're gonna make me cry. Because we carry the baby for 9 months under our ribs, under our heart, it's devastating. You don't know if you're a mom anymore, even though I have 3 living children. But for me, that's the struggle for me, is just knowing that I've carried them and I gave them life, and they felt my heartbeat, and now I'm not going to feel their heartbeat anymore, was a struggle for me.
Wow.
And I'll just add on that from the father's perspective is, you believe, I guess, if you will, or ready to believe that we're here to protect a family. So, number one, obviously with your daughters, you want to protect your daughters. You want to guide them and be there to let them know that you'll always support them and always have their back, if you will. And now to know that there was nothing that I could do to prevent her from what she was going through, where she was going to be going. That was hard. It was hard. It was like there must have been something I could have done to stop this. So you're going through that guilt mode. Instantly, I felt as a father at that point, going, how could I have prevented this? I was supposed to, this is my job to not let this happen.
That's what dads do.
That's what dads do.
Right on.
And then to watch the pain go through your family. I gotta stop this somehow. I can't let my wife be in pain over this. So it's on and on. Not only for the child that passed, but obviously your existing children. I'm watching each one of their emotions and what do I need to do to support them. And you're not gonna focus on yourself at that point.
Right. How about during that whole process, like while you're going in, did you feel like you had a support group around you, like family and friends and other people that were able to reach out, and were they able to comfort at all?
We had amazing support, I must say. Our son and daughter-in-law were here in St. John, and God love them, they contacted the Red Cross to see what it took to get us through. They sourced out areas for us to, stay in a hotel. We didn't even think with COVID that we even needed a COVID hotel, so I just booked a hotel and came.
That's right, because you had that added complication during that time frame.
Yeah.
Not only are you coming from another province and dealing with all this, but you had the pandemic to deal with at that time.
Correct.
Wow.
One thing we did say, and will continue to say is the community of family and friends and people we didn't even know that got together and created a fund for us to pay for our expenses while we were here, our tickets, it was overwhelming. We cannot thank them enough, but the support we had was absolutely phenomenal. But on the flip side, as a griever, it was too much at the same time. It was very overwhelming. I didn't want to see family. I didn't want to see friends because it was just too overwhelming for me at that point. But
During that time frame, how long did it take for you to start to feel like your life was getting back on somewhat of a regular track? I see you shaking your head.
we didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
We didn't get the opportunity because unfortunately 66 days later, back in Alberta, we lost our 25-year-old son to a car accident as well.
Tell us about your son.
TJ? Oh my God. Very athletic, very happy, had a heart of gold, always trying to help the homeless. But there's a video of him giving his last $40 to a homeless lady and her children. Loved lacrosse, loved hockey. He had dreads, so his hair always bounced, just big smile, just full of life, like just happy. But unfortunately, TJ, he really struggled with his sister's passing when on the way, when we brought him home. In Alberta, where we lived off a range road, because we lived in an acreage, you literally cross highways to get to your range road, and our range road was set on a highway that kind of has a blind knoll, and it's sunny, of course. So he was crossing to go home. He was literally on our range road and got hit, and he died instantly.
66 days later.
66 days later.
Keisha, still so fresh in your mind, and then to have this as well. Again, so sorry for the loss that you've gone through, but thank you for sharing with us. We may not all have the same story, but we can all identify with circumstances. At what point did you hear about the Compassionate Grief Center?
Actually, Audrey had reached out to Andrew.
All right.
Recently, right? And then Andrew gave her our contact, and she reached out to me.
Okay.
Yeah. When we first got back home, then we were looking at different organizations we could get back through. This was one that I remember seeing come up, and we just weren't settled yet. We had, obviously the house and all that stuff, and it's just ironic that it's come full circle now, and this is one that found us, if you will, as we found through a way of giving back.
What kind of support did you feel?
Well, the biggest piece straight off the bat is there's somebody listening, and when I first talked with Audrey, I could tell that she cared because she was listening to the story, and she was really intrigued with our approach to healing, if you will, and grieving, and that was what led us to start our businesses in the way of giving back. But the support was just the beginning right there, because since then we've obviously been more involved with the Grief Center here, and most recently we've gone through a certification program, which some of the tools we got when we were out west through psychologists and psychiatrists that we had to see, and doctors, obviously. It was a grieving center that was there, so the night that TJ's accident happened, they showed up immediately.
Oh, wow.
To help with anything that we needed. They came right to our house, they would go get food, drinks, whatever you needed, for all stages. And we had kids at the house, our grandkids, if the grandkids needed anything. So we've seen the first stages of how somebody in these roles can kind of come and help play a role, because everybody's emotions are at different levels and at different stages, so they kind of come in and just help. So that's what I kind of felt when I first talked to Audrey. I had that feeling again of somebody, not just yourself carrying all this weight on your shoulders going, how am I going to get my family through this?
Yeah.
You actually have other extremities that can help you, that are trained to help you. So when we did the course recently, that kind of brought things back to light and going, oh my goodness, and now I can see how that played a big role in giving me direction anyway of grieving and how I can help give back with it.
Can you tell us about the course itself?
One thing I can honestly say, from losing a child's perspective, there's no equal for it, if you will. There's no I've lost my grandfather or my grandmother or even a parent. Well, they probably had a good life. There's a duration there. There's maybe an equal there. For a child, it's not. And so there's no way, unless you've lost a child yourself, that you can say, hey, here's what you should do, or this is what you shouldn't do. That's one of the biggest heartfelt things, and I know people who normally will do it because the harder the pain that somebody's going through, the more you want to help. I think it's what human nature is. Yeah. So the first thing they see is that that's going to be very painful. The first thing they want to do is like, well, what are you doing to get help? You should do this. When I lost my father, I took this pill, or I did that, or that's the biggest no-no you can do when somebody's going through the depth of that type of grief, is really just listen. Listen and support. I understand. I mean, I get it all, but I understand you went through a lot of pain. Tell me more about it. How's that affecting your life? And then what is it that I can do to help in any way, shape, or form? And a lot of times it's really just somebody listening to the same story over and over again.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about, hey, you should go talk to this doctor, or you should take this pill. At that moment, it's really about listening and being there for support and making sure it's repetitive, if you will, over time, right? Because it's going to change. Your grief is going to go through the different levels of, if you will, of signs, and everybody's different. Yeah. Maybe somebody's going to go through anger right away. I believe that's where Julie went, right away. Somebody else is going to go through guilt. That's where I went right away. Because we're different, we're human, so in order to understand that, you got to listen and be able to help support depending on where they're going at the moment. And then next week, I might be going through something different, so I need to listen to a different story. Because now I'm throwing my phone against the wall and it's breaking. Type of thing. So yeah, I learned a lot. Like I say, just being on the other side of the fence, going through the course share, which was really immense. And I'll speak from my perspective, growing up in the generation we grew up in, especially being a male, you suppress a lot of those feelings, and you suppress how you deal with them. This course told me, if you will, that's not the way to go about it. You gotta listen, you gotta talk, you gotta communicate, you gotta learn one another.
Do you find it gets a little bit easier to talk about it each time? I mean, you've probably shared your story a number of times, haven't you?
Yeah, quite a bit. Mine a little bit more so because mine was part of my therapy. Yeah, it helps being able to, like say, tell the story now and be able to keep it clean and clear in my head. When I do struggle every now and again with a flashback, I thank goodness for our healthcare system in that manner. And people don't realize that we all complain about it. We're understaffed, but the people that are there that really care, they've made a difference in my life.
They do make a difference. Julie, how about you? How are you doing?
I'm good.
Have you found that it's made it a little bit easier to absorb the more that you talk about it, and when you talk with trained people in particular?
Yeah, both Tim and I went through intense therapy. With Keisha, I wasn't angry, I don't think, and just because she's such a burst of energy too, and bubbly and happy, she just wouldn't want Mom being upset. And I think too with Keisha, we got to say goodbye. We got to make the decision of she's no longer going to suffer. With TJ, there was no goodbye, and that's very hard. And I don't like the word closure, but there's no closure for you because you don't see him again until he's in the funeral home. And both of them have children. Now we're also dealing with his partner, his baby, Keisha's partner, Keisha's babies, and we're all in, two different provinces, and it makes it very challenging. But the more I talk about it, yes, I talk about them like they're still here, and I try not to use the past tense because to me they're around us 24/7. But I was very angry when TJ was gone. I think even made a post at a Facebook status that there is no God, and there was probably a couple of bad words in there as well, but very, very angry. So when you go through a grief session or grief counseling or, the program like we did, when you lose, they mentioned about some people lose faith, that was me. And to this day, I still struggle with it. And Tim's right about when he says, people say, oh, God only takes the good ones, or, they wouldn't want you sad or whatever. It still triggers a bit to say, yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Like,
Tim had mentioned that talking about it was part of his therapy. Was there something that was relative for you?
for me, it was the accepting of family. Through therapy, I talked a lot about, like, I just don't even want to see family, because family to me is, I know they love me and I know they care and I love them, but family comes up to you and they're like immediately sad, or they want to hug you, or they begin crying, and I really did not want that. I wanted, yeah, it's really sad. We lost 2 of our children, but they haven't. They have still a life to live and to be happy about and to enjoy, and that's really what I wanted for them, and not to just look at me and just immediately go, oh, and start crying. So I still work with that a lot. And then the other thing that I struggle with, not as bad because I'm allowing myself to be open to the sounds, but is hearing sirens or hearing police cars going, or like Tim said, the electricity going out is a major trigger for me for both kids, because even
It just
though we
sends
weren't
you
here,
back to that moment.
yeah. And even though, like with Keisha, we weren't there for the accident, you just know, oh, like the sounds that you're going to hear. And then TJ's just kind of solidified it for me. So, and the fear of losing.
Yeah.
The fear of losing a child. And actually, I can remember saying, I was hugging my daughter-in-law as we were going back to Alberta, and I had said to her, I am just so scared to lose another child. I don't want to leave, I'm scared. You know, we all both said, no, that's not going to happen.
I love that even during this whole process, while you're still grieving Keisha and TJ, you came back and you wanted to make a difference in your community. So you came back and you set up a business. And tell us about how you're able to work that business and plug into the community.
After, Keisha Casa is definitely like, there's got to be a way that I can honor her and let the world know what a big personality and a lot of a heart that she had. And the world's going to know. If there's anything that I can do, they're going to speak through me. I was always kind of just went and did my thing, if you will, right? And kind of stayed humble, and if I could, the best I could, and I just went about my career, and that's how I did my career. And I didn't talk about it. My kids didn't even know what I did, I think, for pretty much their whole lives. But I put food on the table, and that's kind of the way I went about life, right? But I do have a way that I can connect with people. I was told that many times, so I'm going to leverage that and connect with people and help them and inspire them. So when me and Julie talked about that, like, what do we do next? We had such love and support back here. And this is where our kids grew up. This is where the best friends were. And we had a lot of connections where we wanted to help them because we could see that they were hurting. They were mourning. They were grieving. We did have a career job for a short period of time, but we realized this isn't doing it. And over, I'll say, probably a weekend, sitting on the deck, and I was talking to my brother-in-law about pets, and we've had multiple dogs, and Keisha and TJ each had multiple dogs, and I'm like, what if we
Still
gave back?
have TJ's dog.
So TJ's dog, I'm like, what if we gave back to the love of pets, a way to connect with the community? I said, because how do we knock on everybody's door and thank them? But more importantly, how do we continue to inspire them, and how do we grow from there? And I said, we just can't say, yeah, you can use technology and possibly do like podcasts and things like this, but I wanted something even, something more that was tangible.
Yeah.
Anyway, this came, and I mentioned to Julie, I said, what if we start with pets and the pet store and the doggy daycare? And she's like, I think it's a wonderful idea, but we've never run it before. I'm like, well, we'll figure it out. And she's like, yeah, we'll figure it out together. So that's how it started, and about a week later, we went to the bank to open up our business accounts, and she goes, we're really doing this. I'm like, yeah, we are. And we registered the businesses, and I started it up in February 2023. And shortly after, Julie just came on board, after she's checked it all out and realized, let me try this. And she first started dog training, then she got into grooming, and haven't looked back. And now we're continuing looking to grow in different ways to how can we get back to the community and inspire. And most recently, we started working with rescue dogs, different organizations out of the States. We just did our first, if you will, they call it drop-off, so I guess it's not saying the wrong words, but they just did their first drop-off Tuesday. We just started this 2 weeks ago, and we were there. We gave a little welcome gift to the the animal coming from the States as well in New Brunswick. So again, a way to give back to the animal, but also the fur parents that are adopting and stuff. So that's what we're leveraging the businesses for, is to kind of build this community to support and give love, and it helps us. They're dogs, and dogs give unconditional love, and we learn a lot from that. So there's days when I'm not 100, and but I'll tell you, when you get that laugh from the dog, it brings back around. And I think for Julie, I'll let her speak on it, but she was in a different place, let's just say, prior to coming on board, and she's in such a great place now that I think they gave me this vision to do this to help support them all.
That's amazing. Julie, you're on the spot.
Yeah, I was just going to work, just getting up and going to work.
Getting through each day.
And tired. I was so tired all the time. And so when we made the decision and I came on board full time, it was the best decision for me. Started gaining my weight again. I was smiling again. Dogs are so therapeutic, right? I mean, they love you unconditionally, and their parents too. And a lot of the parents don't even know our story because they just want a dog daycare for their kid, for their dogs. So they don't even read about us. But it gives us the opportunity to do things like sponsor the webinar too for the Compassionate Grief Center, which we hope to continue doing. It's just an all the way around way to give back to our community. Now it's a way that we can give back to them too, to let them know we are okay. We're going to be okay, and we're going to continue going forward in the name of Keisha and TJ, and have little hashtags of Keisha Furever 32 and TJ Furever 25, and they use that on their Facebooks whenever they talk about them too. So
going back to what you said at the top of our start of our conversation, the world will know them.
Yes.
Yeah, the world will. And as well, it's for the rest of our generations coming behind us, of our family, to know what we're about, as if you will, as a family. And obviously Andrew and community existing children as well. We're all about love and helping other people. I truly believe that's the way we always have been, but this just puts it at another pedestal, if you will. And so we can leave a legacy behind in that manner. Yeah, hopefully the business will be successful and they do their thing, but really the message is going through the businesses that the other children that come behind us, they what was Nan and Grandpa like? What was Big Nan and Grandpa like? What was Uncle TJ and Aunt Keisha like? Well, here we go. This is why these businesses are built, right? And that you're supposed to spread that love. So that's kind of like you say, kind of makes it all the way around for everybody, right?
I can see it in your eyes, and I can see your body language as well. It was such a great impact for you and for your family, but so glad at the same time for the impact that people around you, including the Compassionate Grief Center, were able to help provide to kind of get you to the point where you're at now. Every day is not going to be 100%.
No.
In fact, some days are probably not even going to be 50. But you're still boots on the ground. You're still out there working away. You're still going to have hard times, but you're going to have good days too. That's where talking about it comes in. On behalf of the folks here at the Compassionate Grief Center, thank you so much for sharing your story and being willing and being open and just sharing so candidly and comfortably. I can tell that it is getting a little bit easier each time, and I'm proud of you, and I'm grateful to be here and share this moment with you.
Thank you.
Tim Julie Holmes.
It's actually TJ's birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday to TJ.
Yeah.
If you find that you need to talk to someone, whether it's grief that you're going through, the good people here at the Compassionate Grief Center are trained. They can help get you to the other side. Just as we said with Tim Julie, every day is not going to be perfect, but every day you're going to experience it and you're going to get better and better. So contact us.